Hey, good morning, or actually it's afternoon. Sorry, it's been a long night of grieving with my grief-stricken cousin, Johnny Walker. We'll see whether anybody's going to buy that. Anyway, so we weathered the hurricane, and now I'm ready to talk to you about the books that I'm having you read this semester. So I've got you reading seven complete books. Six of those are novels, so not really that hard. One of them is a textbook, and then I'm having you read big chunks of a couple of other textbooks or readers. So, as I told you before, I've kind of divided the class up into a business ethics part, a sexual ethics part, and an ethics and technology part. So I've got two novels and a textbook or part of a textbook for each of those three components. The first novel that I'm having you read is The Fountainhead by Ayn Rand. That's Ayn rhymes with mine, not Ain, it's not Anne, it's not Ayn, like mine, possessive. It's a novel about an architect from the 20s through the 40s. He had some interesting ideas on how to do architecture, but really they're interesting ideas about how to live your work life. He's also got a whole bunch of friends and enemies of various kinds who have other ideas about what work is for and what you're supposed to use it for. And not just work, but also just the physical world as a whole and sexuality. So really, it hits on all three of our big topics. It's kind of a long-term favorite classic novel. People in high school love it, or some of them hate it, but most of them really like it. Some of you probably have written an essay on it for the Ayn Rand Institute essay contest back when you were in high school or something, and a fair number of you will have read it. So that's going to be the thing we're going to start out with. I'm hoping that you will have read the first two parts, which I think are Peter Keating and Gail Wynand, but Peter Keating and either Gail Wynand or Ellsworth Toohey for Tuesday. And then for Thursday, we'll go through the rest of it, which is the other of Gail Wynand and Ellsworth Toohey and Howard Roper's are the third and fourth parts of it. Those are the names of the four main male characters of the book. The next book is going to be The Remains of the Day by an English novelist named Kazuo Ishiguro. And you're thinking, wow, that really doesn't sound like an English name. For English name, you want, Basil Longbottom or something like that. He's of Japanese descent, but he was raised in England. He's more or less roughly English. He has novels set in England and also novels set in Japan. It is about what you would think is maybe the most boring possible person on the planet, and in a way, he is. It's about an English butler from just after the First World War until a little ways after the Second World War. Yeah, that's right, English country house butler. And his complete absorption into his job when his job is to disappear. So he is, by will alone, the most boring man on the planet. And it's fascinating to see how he does this to himself, how he effaces himself, how he, in a way, kind of destroys himself across his entire life. It's kind of a cautionary tale about what work can be when you take it wrongly. And it's a story about how you can not just betray yourself at work, but in every part of your life by misunderstanding how you relate to your job. So even though you'd think English Butler really boring, it's a deeply fascinating novel, and it's gorgeously written. Ishiguro has a really masterful written style, and it's never better than in that particular novel. Then for the rest of the business ethics section, I'm having you read a whole bunch of papers from a business ethics reader. It's called Honest Work, and I think they printed them from the first edition, but it's a whole bunch of papers on various topics having to do with business, right? So how you can relate to corporate existence, right? What is it? What are corporations for? What are profits for? What's the role of profits and money in business? What can and can't business entities and managers and so forth ask from you as employees? What is integrity? Of course, specifically, our focus is going to be on integrity at work, but in a way, our focus is on integrity in everything. So we're going to be interested in the virtue of integrity. We're going to have a couple of papers on that. And then sort of what you use work for, right? What's the alternative to work? Well, the alternative to work is leisure. So we want to think, well, what makes leisure so appealing? How can you best use leisure? Right? The idea is that in every part of our lives, we're looking to do something that we're using rightly, that we're using in the most fulfilling and advantageous way that we can. And that's going to apply to work. It's also going to apply to everything else. All right, so That's the readings for the first part, the first third of the class. There's going to be a paper due about that stuff about a week after that section is over. I'm going to get you those paper topics in a couple of weeks. I really don't know what they're going to look like yet. Some of them are going to be, explain various views in some of the papers. Some of them are going to be reflect on the characters and some of their decisions in the novels. But I'll get you the details. You're very welcome to be coming up with your own paper ideas. So if what I just said gives you an idea for what a paper should look like on business ethics and how you relate to work, and you're reading through the Fountainhead and you think, oh, here's a passage that I think makes really stark the alternatives, or shows the consequences of a certain approach to your work life or something like that. Go ahead and start thinking about what that paper would look like. Try to work it into an actual topic that you can then later run past me.